I don't know. I mean, so can you guys see this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is this big enough, or should I make it a little larger?
Well, I can't see whatever's happening. Yeah, that's good. We'll start there, right? Start
Okay.
there.
I'll just drill down, as needed. Um, so to start out with, just from what I've heard, and it's still pretty new to, figuring out exactly what your needs are, but from what I heard last time, one of the things that jumped out at me is that I guess you guys tried some Facebook campaign and Google AdWords campaigns, but, they were tried for kind of a short time. And the thing that I would like to propose and stress that actually building, especially when we're sending cold traffic to some sort of an offer, that building the Facebook campaigns or Google AdWords campaigns, A and B testing and testing infrastructure and environment needs to be a really large part of what's getting built. Because cold traffic being sent directly to an offer page works for people within your own email list, that already know, like, and trust the brand. But for someone who's coming cold or through a referral or from some other redirect, that's a little bit more difficult.
And that's why we stopped, because we didn't have the middle piece built. We didn't have the drip campaign. We didn't have the get to know, like, and trust us campaign built. And there was no point in putting money into Facebook advertising without that platform.
No, that makes sense. And so some of the things that I, want to sort of suggest and talk about today basically have all this kind of thing built in. And what I want to share with you, in a few minutes, basically is, I've done like a concept. There's a funnel that I'd like to walk through, a funnel design, and I've also sort of worked out what I think expected ROI might look like. I've looked at it from that perspective, and then I've looked at it from what would be involved in building something like this perspective. So does that sound good to go through some of the stuff? Okay, so one of the things that I'm seeing that's working really well right now, are these sort of video course sequences. And I sent you guys a couple of links. I'm not sure whether you would have had a chance to look through them, but I'm amazed, from John B. Dumas to Brian Dean to a number of marketers and to a number of women entrepreneurs that are basically following this approach. I think the reason they're following that approach is because they are selling fairly high-end products at the end of the day. And so the idea of this 3-day video course sequence, and I also would love to look at some examples of that. The idea of those sequences are that either they're using new videos or custom recorded videos, but that over a course of 3 days, you're getting to know, like, and trust the audience a little bit better. And what they're doing at the same time is making interim offers or offering goodies or extra value and measuring the engagement that people have throughout this funnel. So there's a 3-day nurture sequence that's basically leading up to some sort of irresistible offer at the end. So does that make sense just from a concept? Oh, did I lose it?
Yes. No.
Oh.
I was muted. Yes, that makes sense to me.
Okay. So, with that in mind, I'm just going to, kind of walk through what the theory looks like. And then, I've even sort of set up a little example of what, what something like this could look like in practice. Okay, so assuming that this is a paid ad campaign of some sort, and we're launching and we have to create, the blue things, by the way, are assets that need to be created. So, assuming that we have some sort of a Facebook ad that's shown either to your existing followers, there are many ways in which, of course, we can target and select people. And that has a large bearing on how successful the campaign is. But assuming that, we can get some good targeting going for even brand new audiences, then what typically happens is there's a video course sign-up page of some sort. And I think it's really important to have that sign-up page and landing page A/B test equipped, so that you are testing out the effectiveness of, and usually it's the promise of the headline. They don't have to be completely different pages, but at the very least, you want to test one component, like for example, which headline is working better for a particular audience. Make sense so far?
Yes.
Sorry. So, you know, when I'm looking at, hang on, and here, for example, is one of the, you know, one of these invitation kind of sequences that, you know, that I'm receiving from Lisa Sasevich, and there was another one from a woman named, I'm not sure whether you can see this. You know, see this, enjoy this 3-part video series. So basically the Facebook traffic gets sent to some sort of a landing page that promises a result, or, you know, basically, you know, has some social proof on it, but gets people to want to basically participate in this sequence. The idea behind the sequence, of course, is that the further people engage into it, the more you're weeding out the people that may not be willing to invest as much. And, you know, you're basically increasing what, you know, in the funnel I refer to as a lead score, which is basically the level in which, you know, people engage with this offer. Okay, so another thing that's very important is that the thank you and the email pages are basically include Facebook conversion pixels.
Got it.
You might be familiar with that already, but the campaigns are configured to run on conversions and not on clicks. Meaning Facebook uses the people that wind up on your sign-up page and on your thankbook page as examples to model after, and they'll increase and improve the ad performance all by itself. So we typically see these Facebook ads, and this is why I was, you know, curious about why you stopped after a week, but you've explained it, right? But if you set this up for conversion and have the right technology on the platform, Facebook will learn from what sorts of people are actually going through the sign-up process and attribute value to that, and show the ad more frequently to people like that. So you're almost building a lookalike audience along the way. Okay, so once they sign up, you know, they basically getting an opt-in or confirmation email is sent and clicked, and the users then basically opt in or considered opted into the campaign. Now, even if people don't confirm their email address or don't subscribe, or for some reason don't go through, the Facebook pixel is still there and allows you to retarget those leads later on. So no matter what you do, you know, you're building an asset in terms of building an audience that you can show this to again and again. And I'm, you know, I'm reading my newspaper this morning online, and, you know, and I'm seeing from, you know, Selena Sue and from, you know, some of the other folks that I've set up where they're doing exactly that. And now all of a sudden seeing little ads show up that are basically Facebook ads retargeted at me because I went to their landing page and I was pixeled there. Makes sense so far? So I think that, you know, the infrastructure is important to be able to execute that, especially if you're going forward and you want to, you know, you want to have this leverageable for someone else or across your network or for your affiliates. Any questions so far? No, keep going.
Don't have any. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So, of course, what happens there is also the marketing automation engine, you know, involved in it. We started talking about that a little bit last time. You know, I'd love the chance to show it to you sometime. For us, you know, it's a central piece of basically a CRM and a tool that allows us to track behavior, to see exactly what people looked at. There's a feature called Life of a Lead where I can see exactly what everyone who's entered the funnel has done. And it also automatically builds the lead score, and it can start making decisions on what you do next or what your automations do next based on the behavior of those people and the level of engagement that they've shown. So, you know, this is kind of a must-have if you want to really drive offers and, you know, and base some decision-making based on lead score. Okay, so basically these people are now entered into the marketing automation platform, so we have them in our CRM. By the way, you know, here's a snapshot. It does all sorts of things like reverse look up their social networks. You know, for the majority of people, I now know what their LinkedIn profiles are. I know where they are on Twitter. You know, I can actually see exactly what they clicked on and what form they looked at and what email they've interacted with, what media they see. This is called Life of the Lead. So I can see an entire history of how this person engaged, and that's useful, you know, in a whole number of ways. Okay, let me just find the. Yeah, so here we are. So the first day then sends out a welcome email. Immediately after sign up, people are getting this welcome email where they can receive and basically take lesson 1. Now, this could be a challenge. It could be a lesson. You know, it should be a relatively short video. And Tara, you mentioned, you know, you already had like a 7-day sexy series. You might have this, you know, the core of this or not. I'm not, you know, I haven't seen the actual content that you have. If you can reuse it, that's great. Sometimes you can take a longer one and chop it into 3 days worth of content. But what's also important is that each lesson has a post-video engagement exercise. So not only does it matter whether somebody actually has watched the video or gone to the page, you want them to somehow engage even further. And the reason that that's important is that it sort of builds, you know, if, you know, on Selena Yu's page, for example, I get an awesome publicity directory download on the first day. So, you know, they're not asking me to share anything. They're not really asking anything of me. I keep getting value out of the series throughout the 3 days. And that sort of creates a little bit of a sense of indebtedness almost where, you know, I'm consuming more and more of their really good stuff. She does that really effectively. So it's kind of like, well, what do you offer? And I mean, I'm going to just really quickly go to this little mock-up that I made, right? So this is what one of these video sequences could look like, or a page could look like, where you get lesson 1. And actually, as the video plays, the promise or the unlock is revealed underneath it. It doesn't show up right away. It's timed with the video. I'm going to refresh. You see it's gone. But at the point in the video where you start talking about, look, join us, you know, unlock this free training series, and you're going to get, you know, a 14-day health guide or recipes or healthy to fit or 7 days to sexy, you know, and at the end, you know, if you qualify, you can, you can apply for the membership, or you can, you know, like that last one is something that I want to talk to you about as to what the last piece of the offer is. But this basically can be an evergreen campaign that you can run at any point, and it doesn't really take, you know, any interference with it. But each day basically has a new gift or some feedback form or a quiz or a challenge that's revealed, and that creates the know, like, and trust aspect. So we talked about maybe having a quiz at the end, or, you know, somewhere in that series about like how much is your health worth to you, and that was very much like the example that you sent me today. Those questions that were being asked during that, you know, lead quiz were around, you know, what sort of person are you? Are you willing to commit? You know, the questions were leading up to how much is your health worth, or, you know, what's your behavior, and then it categorizes you and gives you the answer at the end. I mean, that's a, you know, I'd be curious about what you wanted to talk about, you know, specifically in that. But the idea then still is that each day that you go through this, the marketing automation platform increases the lead score. And at the end of the series, you then get to make a decision, you know, and typically what we see in marketing automation platforms, the quality of the lead determines whether you have a salesperson reach out and call that lead, for example. And the lead score is exactly, you know, what that looks like. For example, on my example here, this guy, Tony Clark, that's engaged with us, you know, if I actually look, he's got a lead score of 238. And when I click on that, the platform actually reveals what particularly I designed this lead score to be comprised of, right? So there are important pages visited, or books viewed, or emails opened, and each one of the interactions has a certain value that at the end of the day basically allows you to segment your users, you know, into people that are very highly committed, you know, and people that are maybe just semi-interested. And from what I understood,
do we, at what point do we go, oh, we have one that's worth following up with, we have somebody who's got a high enough lead score, we need to, like, because this whole thing is just running, right?
That's right.
Without any we've set it up and now it's just running. It's out there doing its thing and the people are coming in. And at what point does the red flag go up and say, hey, I got a fish?
Right here. So right in this part of the funnel, after day 3, basically, the marketing automation platform will do what we tell it to do. In other words, it will evaluate the lead score, and it can then take diverging actions depending on what you want to do. So here, for example, let's say on day 4, the lead score is greater than whatever number we determine. 20% or 50% of your audience will reach that, hopefully. And basically that will then either redirect, and it can do a number of things. Either it can direct them to a page to fill out the membership application. And that, actually automatically also books a session with you, right? So this can be something that goes on your calendar. It could be completely automated. It could be just an alert is sent to you. I mean, all of these things, by the way, keep you informed with both reports and alerts that are configurable. But assuming that you just want this thing to run quietly, what would happen is that for the people that qualify, you get an alert and they get offer number A, which is to apply for a coaching session or something in person where you basically now make your Isagenix sales call as part of the the onboarding sequence, or as part of becoming a membership of the Tara Higgs lifestyle, or as part of redeeming the free 30 days. Does that make sense? And the other people that don't qualify necessarily, well, they could still redeem a last gift or watch a bonus video, or you could set this up. I don't know whether you want those people in the membership group, whether that's beneficial for you to have anyone in there because you then get to engage with them anyway, whether you would still offer that. But what you could do simply is that at that point decide that, okay, the people that are above the fold, send me a notification to actually do a follow-up call. And the people below the fold, let's just let them redeem the membership or redeem the gift, if that makes sense.
And but we don't continue to drip on those people? We just say done with them. They get their little whatever, and we don't keep their email. We don't keep reaching out.
Oh no, I mean they're in the CRM now,
Right.
and now it's just a matter of how you configure what else you might do with them, going forward.
Right.
So what I see a lot, for example, is that people are doing webinars. This entire, in fact, the 2 examples that I sent you that you might like to sign up for, because you go in that funnel and then you can unsubscribe, but I found it pretty illuminating. On day 2 already, the webinar starts being mentioned. And of course, the webinar is sort of their opportunity to convert. They don't have a sales call, and I don't know that a webinar would ever work with Isagenix. I suspect not. I suspect it would be a much harder sell. But if you have another upsell or a cross sell, basically, the sequence continues there and gets recycled there. So those people are permanently in your CRM. They permanently have a lead score. You permanently know about how to judge them. You might make an offer to someone in the middle of your lead score. The lead score is a flexible number. And some people will never engage with anything, and those you better get rid of anyway. And there's natural decay built into the SharpSpring marketing automation platform as well, where over time, if people in their life of the lead, when I basically investigate, well, what have they done? What pages have they been to on the site? How much time have they spent there? Then it allows me to base other decisions based on that. And it's certainly your newsletter and any other information that, they're now part of your, at least you've built the lead. Also on Facebook and Facebook marketing, those folks are pixeled, and any custom audiences, any event that you're holding, any future offer, you automatically are including them in that. So the possibilities there are, I didn't draw out everything else that could happen, as part of such a funnel.
But it's there. I mean, there might be, Tara, what if you created, a workout series that's online that you wanted to do an offer of? Or what if there was, I can't even think of what it would be, but you've got this CRM full of email addresses that are people that somewhere along the way have some interest in health. You know what it is based on what they clicked on and what they answered, and then you've got this email database, and then you can create offers accordingly.
Yeah.
Is that essentially the?
Yeah, I mean, it's of course much more than just an email database.
No,
it's
I
an
know.
entire
I understand that.
marketing automation platform that, by the way, unlimited emails, unlimited users, unlimited websites. So what this also means is that you can create or set up additional pages for your affiliates. So if you wanted to create, people within your Isagenix marketing script, somebody signs up and becomes one of your affiliates. I'm not sure what the members or team members, I'm not sure what the language is exactly that you were using. You can create resources, landing pages, and campaigns in here to help automate, for them, or replicate some of this for them as well. So, for us, the investment in such a marketing automation platform, that basically acts both as our CRM, acts both as our, marketing automation, has a social content calendar. It actually has a sales pipeline in it, right? So like every person that makes it to a particular, let me just switch over to someone else's here. Every person that reaches a level, reaches a level within your funnel system can create an opportunity that you can have your sales staff follow up with them on. So it's got a sales pipeline built in where, from initial contact to needs analysis to everything else, these things are built along the way. These are the more advanced versions or aspects of it. You probably won't wind up using them initially, but you're equipping your business with a platform for growth. That's really how I look at it. Right. So when I then look at, okay, well, what would this look like, to build this and to build the email sequences and to build, all the various components. Let's go back in where I was doing that work. I'm not sure what assumptions I can make in terms of which videos and which existing assets are relevant and available, easily available. Tara, I think you had mentioned, there's membership in the Facebook group. It's 7 minutes to sexy videos. You have the blogs. I mean, I guess that's I would suggest converting any blogs into lead magnets. We have some tools that actually do that and take a blog post, if it's a long and meaty and worthy blog post, and actually create a Kindle, Amazon, ebook, PDF out of that content automatically or semi-automatically way. So if you've got some content, where you thought, well, I've put my heart and soul out into this 3,000 word long guide, but it's just a blog post right now, then that's a really pretty meaty offering and you can convert it. If these are, regular blog posts, I'm not sure. I know that you had like recipes, carb cycling tips and tricks, so I'm sure that I'm missing a few assets here that might be relevant or that might be able to get used with this. Any questions so far?
I don't have any.
On the concept, I mean, how is this landing on you in terms of, this idea around that this is something that a lot of women entrepreneurs and marketers seem to be doing right now in order to solve exactly a similar issue that you have, which is this know, like, and trust sequence of not sending cold traffic to an offer, but to basically, drip this over, drip this in a video series over a couple of days, because I think video very specifically is effective in this. If you sign up for the 2 examples that I showed you, these people come across great. They're definitely trustworthy. They've got all sorts of social proof on the landing pages. You really get comfortable with making an investment as you go through the process. And that's kind of the effect that we're looking for, because that's very hard to do in just a day or like a 1-day sort of a sequence. And then analyzing and re-engineering or reverse engineering how the best in the business are doing that. That's basically what this proposal is.
Don, do you have a question? Any questions?
Well, I'm just looking at it, and it's the, I wouldn't say the struggle, but it's the question that we continue to go up against, Tara, which is, I mean, ultimately, Jurgen, I think we've been clear. Our goal is for people to come through this and be primed to have a conversation about their health, and they're actually willing to commit at that high level.
Mhm.
So our value pack, as I told you, is $600, right? And those are the people we want to be having conversations with. There are other level packs. You know, we could bring somebody in with 30-day packs, and those are where I gave you that number of 100, right? That if I bring 2 people in a week, I get 200 for each person I bring in. If I bring 2 people in with one of the lesser packs, it's 50 versus the 200. There's a big difference. So it makes sense, I think, to spend money on the front end to try to bring those higher value clients. And I would also say that those that aren't willing to spend that 600, those 300, they're still valuable to us, and we would still want them. We just, it's, you know, maybe they have a lower lead score, and that's a different conversation. I'm not really sure. I'm
Yeah,
not
so I mean, I'm very, I mean,
of
you know,
whether,
I don't, you know, can we look at a few assumptions that, you know, I'm sort
Sure.
of breaking into the process, because I don't know how you're shaping these conversations on, you know, has there, maybe tell me a little more about what your experience has been like with the people that wind up not signing up or not going for it. You know, is it, you know, you're very focused on trying to make sure that people that are at the bottom, you know, that by the time that people get to the bottom of the funnel, that they're actually willing to spend some money. And why is that? So because you're spending so much time talking to people that don't want to spend that money? I mean, what, you know, just maybe tell me a little bit about what your, what that looks like in practice for you.
no, we don't tend to spend a lot of time with people that don't want to spend the money, because the way that our business works, it's all referral based, and it's all word of mouth, and it's all the leads, once they come in, are relatively warm. So if they're not ready to spend the money, there's probably something that's not been done quite right in the process, or they're just not ready, right? And they just need more time, and they need, you know, whatever it is they need, they're just not ready at that point.
And so what happens physically when you know, do you wind up talking to them and then discovering that they're not quite ready? Or, you know, are the people that are referring them to you saying, oh, I don't think they're, you know, like what actually happens on your end?
Yeah.
We get on the phone, and we get them on the phone, and we talk to them, and we give them the options. And that's when, you know, we discover that, oh, I can't afford this. So it's always when we're on the phone most of the time.
Okay.
And then, you know, different ones of us are better equipped or better equipped to deal with their objections. And then, so we have ways of handling their objections. Some of us are better than others at handling those objections, right? And that's a learned skill, and that's a personality thing. You know, it's mostly a learned skill. And so the nice thing about this is when the people come, I feel like you know what you're dealing with. And so if we develop the script specific to these people, I think we'll have a higher chance of conversion, because based on what they've come through, we know exactly, you know, and hopefully what we designed to give us answers to our questions, hopefully we know what we're working with. And somewhere along the way, my hope would be that they either consciously or unconsciously made choices through this process that are indicative of the fact that they're willing to spend to invest in their health. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So
we want to keep affirming in every one of these in steps along the way. Again, subconsciously, unconsciously making a choice, or just getting messaging that, you know, you only have one body, you know, take care of it. You know, your health is your biggest asset. You know, what would
yes, I mean, I think it's a Well, I mean, look, the video content has a lot to do with this, right? I mean, the what you deliver, is, and the way that that message is delivered, I think is critical, in exactly driving to those same points. And I think it can be done in a very non-pressure, nice, appreciative way of exactly how you put it.
Service that you're going to give us advice on what that video content is, because content is not our strong suit. We're really good at a lot of things, Jürgen, and content is not our strong suit.
Well, being good at content, whether that's closely, I mean, there's a mix between subject matter expertise and messaging, copywriting, and marketing. And those two things kind of have to come together, right? So I'm just sort of assuming that, like if the intent and the goal setting of writing scripts, and having, I mean, the way that I usually go about that is we build, mind maps that have particular goals and have a particular flow, and sort of following some examples, but distilled versions of those examples as to what's this part of the video meant to accomplish? What's the next part? This is based on NLP. I think, you guys familiar with that, neuro-linguistic programming? And some of the other sort of techniques that the Speaking Empire and a lot of people who are selling from the stage are utilizing. So there are techniques like open looping, there's a lot of sort of techniques that are involved. So where we are really good is helping people, create content that will align themselves with those techniques and follow through to them. But, I can't be, but what we don't know is the specific content, in terms of how to make a recipe or what this particular exercise is or what you really can make a promise to achieve in a day workout or what that's going to do for you. What we can do is help position that, so it's a collaboration from where I'm sitting, where we're saying, look, here's what we want to, here's what we want to do, like, can we write a script that, basically follows these ideas and, achieves these particular goals and reinforces, the marketing goals that we have. But then, you or, Tara, I'm sure you guys are doing brilliant on video. You deliver it in a really authentic and likable and high energetic kind of a way. And as long as that happens, I think, those points would come across. And I think that exact effect that you're talking about in terms of valuing or being willing to place a monetary value on what's your health worth over a period of 3 videos, that, it ought to achieve that. And I think that, the quiz is an interesting thing. I mean, I think having the quiz in there at some point is a good thing. But the quiz builds, do you reward people for watching this video and give them another gift? Or do you create something that has friction to ask them or challenge them with something, and is that a better strategy to go? So I always fall on the, provide more and more value and create a sense of, I really want this, at the end, because these are really authentic people. They're here to help me. They've had some great ideas. And, and it shouldn't just be like blatantly filtering me out, like, oh, you're willing to spend $1,000 on your health, yes or no, and that's like too in your face from my perspective. But the subtext of that, needs to be there. And look, once you build this sort of thing, reshooting a video or replacing a headline, and again, all of this, I like A/B testing, the messaging of it. I never out of the gate would pretend to have a perfect solution. What I'm trying to offer here is a framework that can be tweaked, that can learn, that can help automate, and that, basically starts optimizing itself as you go through it. So, how do you determine, well, what's the lead score on day 1? What percent of the incoming leads are going to be good? If they've gone through the whole thing and scored high, what does that look like? And that's kind of, those are some of the questions that I was asking in this, in these assumption model here to see, well, what revenue targets might we expect out of something like that. Can we kind of talk about that a little bit? Or
Sure.
Is this going in the right direction for you, or is this like where are we with this conversation?
I think so. I worry, there's a lot of content. There's a lot of content along the way, and
Yep, this is content marketing for sure.
huh?
It's content marketing or content-based marketing,
Right. And
hard to do that.
We're not copywriters, and we're not expert at NLP, so we don't have the NLP languaging. We're good at providing, we're very good at what we do. We're very good, we have a lot of knowledge. Tara has an extreme amount of knowledge about both nutrition and athletic performance and all of those things. And so if you ask us for the knowledge, we can bring forth the knowledge, but it won't be packaged the way I'm sure it needs to be packaged in order to be effective. And so we absolutely need guidance and support in creating those videos and all of that to be effective. You can't just say, create video for day 2. We'll be lost.
Right. No. I mean, that's, it goes without saying is that, we need clarity around what the offer is and, what your, existing, I mean, you say you have existing assets that you use and what those assets promise. I mean, we can definitely collaborate on a framework that would then put the messaging in place. I'm assuming that, the way we record our videos is we have a little teleprompter app that actually works on an iPhone where you just look at the phone, you read the script off of the screen. And, we've learned, and I know a lot of other people that are doing this really effectively and authentically without having to learn a long script or anything like that. But, the idea would be to basically, take those segments, collaborate on them, and to create a script that's, both authentic and delivers a message and a value, but also prepares those underlying, that underlying, in order to be healthy, you got one body, you're going to invest, in it for yourself. I mean, but I'm never going to pretend to be a healthcare expert with, with being able to formulate a promise or a program. I would need to know what it is that we're ultimately giving these people and what those, I can help shape what those promises, how all of the copywriting of that is done, how the script of the video is done. But what I'm not sure is like, well, what, are we doing an exercise here? Are we, I wouldn't want to start from scratch, coming up with content on, on health and fitness that I don't really know, so it has to be a collaboration in some form. I hope that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, the fitness videos or the stuff that I have in content on video is mostly fitness stuff, but Isagenix is more nutrition stuff. I mean, they go to get hand in hand, but you see what I'm saying, Dawn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are we promising people? Like if you were to do a 3-part video series, on someone who is basically nutrition, what can you achieve with better nutrition? You can talk about case study. I mean, the content itself from the fitness perspective versus the supplement and health and weight loss perspective, that bridge needs to be got somehow, I guess, by how you present that in a video series. But I could see that happen. And if you were to record a webinar to sell Isagenix, what would the content of that webinar look like? What would you talk to people about along the way?
About the importance of, well, that we would just go into the talk or when we get somebody on the phone and explain how our soil is nutrient deficient and food isn't enough anymore, and that's why we need a supplement with to get our vitamins and minerals from other sources, and that's where Isagenix comes in.
Great. Okay. So basically, so think of it as taking your Isagenix sales talk that you may or may not have a script for, and splitting that into a 3-part video series. You talk about the environment. You talk about the unhealth, statistics around unhealth. And if you want to, solve that, And, you know, we are here to help you over the next 3 days.
I wonder if we can't just use the Peter videos, Tara.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to ask
39
Peter's.
of them, right?
What?
There's like 39 of them.
Oh, are there?
Yeah, in the
I'm sure.
plans. So
Well,
what?
we can ask Peter.
Oh, he'll say yes.
Well, you have 39 videos on what topic?
Nutrition.
But yeah, we have a guy that goes around the country talking. I mean, he travels all over the place talking specifically about kind of what I just said about the herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, soil. He goes on TV and talks about it, and he's on our team.
And this hasn't been turned into like an online learning product, because, you know, like, why not offer that? You know, don't stop at 3 videos. Take the 30 videos, put it into an online learning environment, let people sign up for a course, a video course, as one of the offers that, you know. And maybe what you can do is have the Isogenics conversation with Group A, and, you know, Group B goes to sign up for, you know, for an online video training like that. If you've got content like that, that's a, you know, if it's good enough to be positioned like that, do you think it would be like, you know, that people would actually subscribe to like a, you know?
He's actually getting ready to turn a lot of it into a TV documentary.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot of his video recordings are at that level. He spent a lot of time on the recording.
Yeah, they're all very professionally done, and like Dawn said, he has joined up, and I can't remember what channel on TV, but he is going to have his own documentary. I forget, what's it going to be called, Dawn?
What If You Didn't Know, or the Green Law? I don't remember. What If You Didn't Know? I think. Yeah,
because Josh Shields and a number of the people that we're actually connected with to the Wellness Connection and to you know, to those guys over there, they also had whole sequences of, I think they were talking about GMOs and the prevalence of GMOs, and, you know, like, and you had a 5-part or 7-part video series on that. But they were doing it out of, you know, not so much out of for financial reasons, it's just mostly like education, you know, education series. So sorry, I don't mean to get sidetracked, but I just heard, you know, all this video content.
It's actually a whole different and possibly cleaner path, and already the content's already created, and if it's right for our purposes, and he says yes,
it's a possibility. Yeah, I see what you.
Plug and play model that absolutely brings them down the path that we want them to come down, as far as, you know, what they're learning and what they're hearing, and hey, would you be open to a system? And I would have to watch his videos to figure out if that would work, but that might be a solution that would plug into a bunch of these different places and make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you know, like, look, if you can use existing content that's already motivational like that and is very much on the nutritional side. I mean, it sounds, I don't know what you think, Tara, fitness versus nutrition topics. I guess he talks more on the nutrition side of things.
Yeah, he has nothing to do with fitness. I'm just saying, like, my original background before I got into nutrition is very fitness based. I owned a gym, and I'm a fitness fanatic. So where I feel my stronger suit is fitness. Peter, his videos are nutrition, which is where we really want to go with Isogenics anyway.
Well, so here's another thought. What if you had a conversation with Peter and got permission to use the script from 3 or more, you know, pick any 3 of these videos that you think would appeal to the objectives and the outcomes that we're promising here, to the objective and the outcomes that a potential signer-upper would look for, right? In other words, you know, getting healthier, having better nutrition, cleaning up the, you know, bad and damaging foods, you know, as far as of being for more holistic health. You know, like, what if he gave you the script and you just record the video, and, you know, I'll hook you up with the technology to do it. You know, I'm sure it would come across great. You know, you just use a teleprompter app and basically record these yourselves. You know, and then that way you would still have them be presented, you know, by Tara Hickman. And the Higgins Lifestyle, if there's a lifestyle membership at the end of this, and if your other lead magnets or recipe books or anything else that we hook up people with along the way, would if that's a better fit. It's just
Well, we can ask Peter, Dawn, right?
Yeah, I mean, Peter's an author. He's published 4 books. He's an international speaker. I mean, he's got a lot of credibility. Why would we strip that away if we could? Why wouldn't we try to utilize that?
Absolutely, it could go that way. It's like I wasn't sure how much Higgs Lifestyle membership is part and parcel of what we're discussing here, and all the assets and the site and the launch platform that Tara has, versus that Peter has or might not have, or might allow us to reuse. This is the first I'm hearing of Peter, so.
Right. So
you're better equipped
to make this distinction. So, because we've actually had conversation around it, and Tara's a really unique individual on the team. I have 18,000 people, Jurgen, in my organization, of which, let's say 200 of them are actively in some way trying to build a business. Of those 200 people, Tara Higgs is the only one that has anything like Higgs Lifestyle. So if we're trying to build this mechanism so that ultimately it's going to be providing leads for everyone on the team, Higgs Lifestyle.
You need to build something neutral, or brand neutral, right? Yeah.
It is for Tara, and if there's a way that we can take what we do and tweak it and or do something similar, that we can utilize all of the assets that she's already built and the credibility that she's built and all the trust factors around what already exists for her. And we can use it to create more people to come into her, that she can talk to people about Isagenix. That's awesome. And if that's the only way we can get there for starters, we'll do that. But if there's another way that's broader, and can help more people, including more people in her downline, right? It's not, because this isn't just, then we do the broader one, because then we can generate leads for everybody and it doesn't tie them into having to do,
we still need to have a Facebook page so that we run everything through, Dawn. We've always come into this is kind of, we hit this roadblock every single time. And that's why can we make up a Facebook page, but it has like no content at all, has no really likes, and use a Facebook page like that as the paying platform for this, or should it be an already established Facebook page?
No, I think that if you were to look at it from a sort of neutral perspective, first of all, the Facebook platform is trivial. It's the hosting and WordPress platform, and with all the affiliate systems and plugins and the tracking pixels, and that's really what is more valuable. So that's why your site in this example, or at least in the way that I've thought about it at this point, was valuable because we were basing it on that. But Dawn, to your point, I think that you would be better off investing in a neutral platform. Take out a new domain, or use an existing domain. Take out a hosting, set up a quick WordPress platform, and basically build the landing pages and everything else on there, so that it doesn't get commingled and mixed up with TaraHiggsLifestyle.com, and the URLs are more neutral and are more flexible going forward. Now that doesn't mean that Tara couldn't take advantage of that being a co-platform, or point to, or run promotions, or have presence on her site, just like for everyone else, right? It just would be the core of the platform that's connected with the marketing automation, that has the Facebook pixel, that all of your team members would get to use at some point or another, but that they could, like the campaigns and everything, all the content that gets built there is relatively independent of anyone's existing site infrastructure and of anyone's existing brand infrastructure, right? So we wouldn't be forced to, for example, use the brand colors or logos as pretty as they are, that you might already have, Tara, right? So that's But that's a little bit, it's new information for me. I mean, but I totally agree with that. That would be a solid way to build up an independently flexible platform. So I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
So this is when you, and which page, then you set up a new Facebook page for that platform. I mean, setting up a Facebook page is trivial by comparison to everything else. And because what we're relying on ultimately here are paid ads for traffic, I also think that, having an existing Facebook platform with 5,000 likes, it really isn't all that important. You can transfer the likes that you have in your group by creating an offer or creating awareness that, that drives that over. And, like Facebook algorithms have changed in the last month into, in some major ways anyhow. So, it's really important to build this in a way that you are the owner of the asset. Don't build anything on digital sharecropping sites like Facebook, Medium, LinkedIn, or whatever. You need to own your own platform and your own infrastructure ultimately. That's where the important stuff happens. And the outreach and, going out to all the other platforms is a bonus, and, you'll definitely be able to leverage that. But
so you're saying, so you're basically saying that we, or Dawn or whoever, that we need to not make up an entire website, but we need to get a domain that everybody's going to be able to use and create, and then run or build the landing pages in there.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, it's that's also, for someone like myself, it's a pretty trivial thing. You just give me a domain name if we don't have one already. But basically, it's this independent, I don't need a login to TaraHiggsLifestyle.com. You're not going to have 25 unknown people logging into your platform all of a sudden, just for us to be able to run these campaigns or landing pages. We're not going to have issues around installing Facebook tracking pixels and marketing automation plugins and other kinds of things on your site, Dawn, where it might screw up something, or where we'd have to have conversations with webmasters or with other people that are running your campaigns. You wouldn't be sacrificing your site.
It's just a clean, yeah, I get it.
Clean install, it can be done in relatively quickly, and can start, and especially because you don't need like a whole new homepage. Like we're talking about 4, 5, 6 pages that are getting created here to run this campaign, and then you build out from there. But you basically, you would have your, whatever the thing winds up being called. So I hope that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to me. But I'm open to exploring either way. I mean, so far, I've come from the point of view that, well, I thought we were building this on Tara Higgs, but I do definitely see the benefits of doing it in an independent way. It's just a conversation, right? I mean, but you guys are looking like, are you excited about this? Are you de-energized by it? Like, is this like seeming like no more trouble than it's worth? Like, it sounds a little bit to me like, oh God, my God, we've been down this road before. We always hit this road.
Well, I am a little frustrated because I thought that in our conversation, I felt like I clearly communicated that Higgs Lifestyle and membership in Higgs Lifestyle was not our ultimate goal. I felt like I communicated really clearly that our goal was Isagenix memberships, that if we needed, and it would be advantageous to use the credibility of Higgs Lifestyle and what's already been created by Tara to advance that process, she was willing to put that in there to get us to the bottom line of people being interested in signing up with Isagenix. But that was never the ultimate goal. And I thought I stated it a few different times. And so I'm a little frustrated that there's been design around that or any intent that Higgs membership is where we're trying to end up, because that was not the focus.
Yeah, I apologize if I come across as that's as something that's where we would want to wind up. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I did understand is that Tara would make hosting available on her website. And that's a point that we actually discussed last time. So yeah, I totally understand that you want to build something beyond and only leveraging
I don't think we want hosting
some of the assets that Tara had, right? Because you said that the membership, offer of the membership in, for a free month was one of the benefits that, that was going to be good.
So just so I don't think hosting this on her website is in her best interest or in our best interest. I think her website's clean, it's perfect. She does what she does with her website. The fact that it exists and Higgs Lifestyle is a vibrant, it's a very nice website. It's beautiful, it's clean, it's credible. So that website right there, if you go to that and you see what it is, I feel like it builds trust, and it's that there's a validation piece in there, and Tara's willing to provide a free membership to Higgs Lifestyle as part of this process, no matter who it is, because it's a win for her. Right?
Okay, so
for her that in this whole process of me building this funnel for my team of 200 business builders, if potentially a membership in Higgs Lifestyle is one free month's membership is one of the free offers, it's still a win-win, because even if they do or if they don't choose to do that, then she's got somebody that she can work with in the future in Higgs. And
okay, so I understand you, Dawn, and I apologize. I'm very sorry that you're frustrated, and that I misunderstood.
This is not our first conversation, and I seem to struggle with communicating that clearly, and so it's my fault. I apologize.
Okay, so I apologize that this is our second conversation and that I apparently have misconstrued that. I don't mean to, and in fact, I'm agreeing that it's better to build and host this on an independent site. And it's something that came up last time as well. And, I'm sorry that if I obfuscated something here, I'm saying I'm agreeing with you, but we do seem to have a communication problem, and I apologize for it.
Okay. And so, and maybe we're trying to accomplish too much and serve too many masters. So it could be a combination thereof. Because we're flexible and open, because Tara and I want to create this thing, we want it to work. We're trying to bring everything we can to bear that would help. And I never thought of the Peter videos until now, and it might be a cleaner path. It might just be a cleaner path that doesn't confuse a lot of things, and it just kind of gets us down that road.
Where are his videos, Dawn? Is it on a website?
Yeah, they're on that System at a Glance. If you log into that System at a Glance where you can create the emails for the new cleansers, they're there. There's 39 of them. And we'd have to watch them to figure out which ones make sense. Like Jurgen would need to tell us, okay, the 3 videos, this is the information they need to deliver, and or, as he said, and we would have to work with Peter, which, can be challenging, we could get 10 of those video assets in a place where they've subscribed to this online course, and at the end of this course, do you want to make a decision and move forward? I've only watched a couple of the videos. I'd have to see where the videos take us.
How long are the videos each?
They vary. Some are 3 minutes, some are 10 minutes, some are, I don't know. I haven't had time.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as they're not 45 minutes long, which is, I think
I don't, because they're coming in an email to people, a daily email right now.
Yeah, so they can't be too long. Okay.
Yeah, so he's basically kind of doing what we're talking about here, right?
Basically he made these these videos is because when we get somebody to join Isagenix, it's like coaching. They're like coaching emails, but I don't know if he ever mentions really Isagenix in it. I think he just gives the reasoning why Isagenix works without ever saying Isagenix. Right, Dawn?
Essentially, I think so. And he's got interviews with John Gray. One of the interviews is with John Gray. One of the interviews is with Ruggiero. We'd have to have a conversation to see if he'll let us use.
John Gray is the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I don't know if you've ever heard that book. That's who John Gray is, and that's what Don's saying in the one video he's interviewing John Gray.
Right. So maybe you can have a conversation with Peter around what, I mean, if he already has the ability to basically create an email sequence, maybe you could just piggyback off of that without going through all of what we're proposing here. As you said, it might be a cleaner solution.
Well, you're still, I think we're still doing what you're proposing. We're still having A/B testing. We're still having the lead have a score. No?
Yeah, well, that's one way that you could do it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know Peter's videos or what infrastructure he has. I didn't know whether you were thinking maybe you could just utilize Peter's existing funnel to accomplish basically the concept that we've talked about.
He doesn't have a funnel.
Oh, I thought you said that was being sent by email every day.
He has a program that's called System at a Glance, and when somebody signs up with Isagenix and they're ready to start the program, day one, they get their schedule of what they're supposed to do on that day, and they get a video from Peter basically telling them why they're doing that thing. And there's actually 7 videos that come before that are like warm up to this concept of nutritional cleansing, nutritionally supported intermittent fasting, aspects in the environment that impact, your need to cleanse, like all of the background information and what he delivers in his speeches come every day, like bit by bit for a week. They can be delivered to the person, but the person's already signed up. They're already getting ready to do the system. They're just getting the background behind what they're doing.
That sounds like a really nice onboarding sequence that he has there.
Yeah. But it's not a prospect sequence. And I talked about that.
So the 7 before people start, that means that you sign up and then you get 7 warm-up meals after
while you're waiting for your product to come and while you're getting ready to get started, you're getting these emails that kind of educate you and bring you up to speed on the whole thing.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. I've watched a couple of the videos. I haven't watched all 7 yet.
Okay.
To know what the sequence is. So
we would have to watch all those videos, but what we're trying to say is we could, with Peter's permission, use those videos as pick 3 of them, and use them for the series and use his face. Cause he's well known. He is more well known out there than we are, to try to get people to go through our funnel to eventually get them on the phone with us.
So, I mean, the only question, that would remain is, if these videos are already done, the messaging around, are you willing to invest in your health and to basically create that, that's the part that might be missing a little bit. And, the gifts or the additional engagement sequence that, like, I don't know what that might look like exactly. In terms of like having this post-engagement exercise after or as you're watching each one of these videos, what's the gift that you could give someone there, or what's the engagement that we could try there, and that's where, we had this concept of a quiz around, how much is your health worth, that you might take at some point or another. But if that's, as we were talking a little bit earlier, I do think that the messaging in the video, that's the ideal place where that can come across authentically. Is that like, this messaging around like, hey, you need to invest in your health. And maybe that's already there. Maybe Peter does that just normally, in these videos already.
I still think the quiz of, that gauges their level of commitment and interest to what they're willing to invest in their health is a valid tool.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't make it the only tool. I think it's
no. Yeah. Okay.
So the idea was to, basically present, some sort of like gifts, but then on day 3, it might be a quiz, or, that's when the quiz might be delivered, or what have you.
So do we need 1 gift or 3 gifts?
No, do we need, look, I'm not the authority here, but what I am seeing and the funnels that I am observing have a gift or some engagement exercise every day. So that you're building the sense of like, oh, I'm taking advantage of, this series is really giving me a lot, right? So like for this woman, Selena, it was like a PR guide the first day, it was a checklist the second day. So people basically are giving relevant lead magnets away as part of the sequence, on their way to, to the last video in the series. So that's all I'm saying is that that's how I'm seeing it being done. You could just have a button here that says, yes, simple yes and no question, or a quiz. There are a number of ways in which that can be positioned. And if I knew what assets we had available and I knew what these gifts might look like, then we can pick the ones that are most relevant. This right now is a little theoretical, given that we're not yet working together, and given that I'm spending all this time on trying to design something that I think might work for you, and trying to give you strategic advice on what I see working out there. That's really all this is at the moment, right?
Right.
And trying to calculate whether an ROI might make sense and what are the parameters of it, and at the same time navigating that I'm dealing with two people, that are coming from two different brands or have slightly different objectives. And again, I apologize, if I didn't do that as well as you were expecting me to, and that's why I had misunderstood or misconstrued how the Dawn's site might actually be leveraged in order to bring some of this to life. And to me, that was one of the ways was to host landing pages there, not under Dawn's brand, but under an independent and neutral brand, so that we would have a hosting provider there. That was been my assumption. And I'm sorry that I sort of got that wrong. But I'm totally okay with, doing it on the neutral site. So can we just, we've spent an hour together. Can I just kind of walk very quickly through what some of these assumptions are to get your feedback as to whether you think these are reasonable assumptions or not?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm looking at, a number of sources of landing page conversions, industry practices, and what I'm seeing from running Facebook-based campaigns ourselves. And I wanted to sort of project and see what sort of traffic and conversion might happen here. And then there are some unknowns where, I really would love your input. Okay, so assuming for a moment that we were spending $35 a day in Facebook ads, now I'm getting about 16 cents, on a cost per click basis. But industry-wide, that's actually higher. So we're doing better than the industry. In the US, CPC averages are around 26 cents. So I've used 23 cents as a somewhat conservative estimate, even though the examples that I would be showing you are 16 cents because we're using Facebook pixels, conversion optimization, and A/B testing to get that. It might not be that on day one, but that would be a goal. So if we did that, what that would result in is 4,500 clicks a month, okay? Just stop me when, if I'm going off track or if this is not relevant for you. So with 4,500 clicks going to your landing page or this registration page where people are signing up or getting informed about what this campaign is about, what this, what this video series is about, assuming that, we did a 3-day video series. Now, conversion rates that we're typically getting are 15%. I'm using 8% as a conversion rate. Could be as low as 4%. Again, there's some statistics around, what industry rates are. I'm using stats from Unbounce from, last year, late last year, as my basis for that. So, if that happened, that means per month would be about 365 people would sign up somehow for this sequence, or, I think it would be 12 per day. Make sense so far?
Yep.
Okay. So now, question is, how many of those people would wind up being qualified? In other words, how many people would actually go through the whole sequence? And, to me, that depends a little bit on what your targeting is, like in how well we would choose Facebook groups and Facebook interests to basically target an audience for this is highly relevant and who would want to go all the way through the sequence. But, I'm just right now assuming, okay, what if out of these 164 leads, we said, well, only 45% of them actually wind up being qualified, right? So I'm whittling it down. And out of that, if only 25% actually were to be converted into sales, And I don't know what your conversations, whether that's a reasonable number to use, because this would sort of be, okay, now we're having sales conversations with people and, and we're 25% successful. Does that sound reasonable in terms of what?
I don't know, Don. What do you think?
It depends on how good a job we've done bringing them along to a decision point and how comfortable they feel when they have the conversation that they're actually ready to take action and do something. It would be, I feel like it's a high number based on this is a cold lead they've come through a funnel. We've warmed them up a little bit. We've done some touching, we've done some gifts, we've done some education, we've done some validation and built some trust. And they're still relatively cold lead. There's no relationship there except
right.
we built.
So, I mean, the variables that we could play with basically is to say, okay, well, if you're willing to have the sales conversation, at the end of the funnel with a higher number of people, right? So we could arbitrarily say our lead score is X and we'll have a sales conversation with more people, or we can say, well, we really want these to be only the top 10% of the people, in the funnel.
Well, I would say we're willing to have a conversation with more people, but we would identify the leads by lead score. And then there's certain people who were the ones with the highest lead score that have indicated a commitment to their health. We're going to hand those off to our top leaders who are going to attempt to enroll them with a higher quality product. And we're going to take the greater number, probably, who are a B lead, we'll call them a B lead, or a C lead. We're going to hand them off to maybe a mid-level person who is more comfortable enrolling with a $270 pack.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right? Or
yeah,
like right now it would be Tara and I following up with all of them. Tara and I and whoever. It would be us doing this.
How many calls a month would you like to have?
A month? How about a day? At our busiest time, I was doing, when the Mike and Zach came on, I was doing like 16 a day.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, this is our full-time job. This is our full-time job. This is my full-time job. I have a lot of time during the day to field as many calls as I can get done. As I can keep going all day long.
Okay, good. So that's not a limitation then, because I didn't know whether there was a limitation around, well, we wouldn't want to have more than X number of conversations because we're busy with another business or this is,
No.
So good to know.
And again, there's 200 of us. If you look at
right. Yeah.
ultimately, and so.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the assumption that it's only $35 a day, that's a very low spend. And, you wind up sort of, right, that's what's driving this input on this model. Like if you were spending $1,000 a month, you would then scale it up. The idea is to use a reasonable amount because you're not getting the same ratios when you're only spending $5 a day, right? Like that's not enough to build up meaningful, a meaningful influx and, and to test out the funnel. So, I sort of chose $35 a day as an example. It winds up being about $1,000 a month, to put into a funnel to see where, and that's why I'm saying, well, that results in, probably 365 people signing up for this thing. And then it's a matter of like, ultimately out of these 365, how many are good enough and, to basically convert. And the assumption just that I made in this particular model, just for myself, right, because I was just doing this not with any preconceptions, right, and I'm guessing, was that this Isagenix product is $399. I know that that's not a good assumption, or that might not be the right assumption. But if you did sell 41 of them at 20, if you converted 25%, and we could change this to anything, right? Like it could change this to 20%, and the numbers dropped accordingly. So that would then basically mean, if the conversion rate is 20%, means 33 sales at $399, $13,000. I don't know how much profit Isagenix keeps versus what you get. I think I asked that question and I don't know. I'm just like putting in 50%. I don't know whether
the answer is 6%. We get 6%.
Only 6, okay.
But we also get we get 6% of, so that's the
I know it's a
6%.
complicated model. Yeah, like that. It's
It's
more to it.
complicated. It's when you ask the future value of the client, we get 6% of what that client ever orders over the lifetime of the client, and of course 6% of what anybody else they bring in orders. The client, the kind of person that, like, if we're targeting the person that signs up with the $600 pack, as long as we get 2 of those a week, that $1,200 in sales is going to put $400 in our pocket. So for the $600 pack, again, so let's just say it's 2 packs a week. $1,200 in sales is going to put $400 in our pocket. For the $400 pack, as long as we get 2 sales in a week, that's going to put $200 in our pocket. So 800 is going to generate 200, right, Tara? Did I do that right? 100, 200, 50, 100, 200. Yeah, 2 sales. 800 is going to generate 200. For the $300 product, $600 in sales generates 100 in referral bonus, not the 6%. That's separate. That's in addition to whatever.
Yeah. So
you
in other words,
why that higher client is so attractive, because that was 400 on 1,200 versus 100 on 600, right?
Yeah, a big difference.
Round one of 200 on 800, which is 1/4. So it goes from 1/3 to 1/4 to 1/6, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
1/3 to 1/4. So 33% to 25% to whatever 1/6 is percent. So that's why.
So, can I maybe let me ask the question another way? I mean, I would have to really understand the Isagenix conversion model, and I'm sorry I didn't, I didn't know, how that all works, and I didn't invest the time. I couldn't invest the time to basically go in and model this and create spreadsheets that basically mirror.
No, it's really complicated. You don't want to, and there's so many assumptions. So I think we really have to build it on that front end referral bonus, and then say the rest of it is, we can assign a number to it, but let's just base it very cleanly on that, what I just talked about. Can you give me a number where you say how much is one Isagenix sale worth to you? Right, assuming that, look, we've got, 33 sales coming through a funnel, and on average, I mean, if I needed to use an average number of how much value.
Well, Dawn,
present to
that's a hard answer. That's a hard thing to say. Dawn, I would just go, ideally, a value pack would be the way, but I think to figure out that number for them, we should just go custom 30-day. I mean, I don't know what you enroll with people most with, but that's what is probably the most common.
Well, it was until we all gained confidence with the value pack, and now people are enrolling with the value pack more and more with confidence. And if
there's just such a difference with those two, like a huge monetary difference.
Okay, so let's use the lower number then. Use the 30-day, and then that's,
yeah.
So basically, and let's just assume double PIVs, because we'll just assume that we're going to generate double PIVs. We have to assume something, otherwise this model's never going to.
Yeah. Okay.
So assume double PIVs.
100.
Assume a $300 sale is going to generate $50. Again, it's 1/6. Right?
Yep.
So a sale is worth $50?
Uh-huh.
That's it, okay. Yeah, so that's really low. So you're saying 33 sales in Isagenix would really only average out to be $1,600.
Well, if we're, again, so
yeah,
just to differentiate, I mean, we've had if the sale is with a value pack, that sale is worth 200. If the sale is with a 30-day, that sale is worth 50.
So I'm using an average number between the two, and I'm using what should I use? If you sold
Let's use 100. Let's use 100 as our number.
As 100 is a number, okay. That's still low. Yeah. Okay, so that's good to know. You know, thank you, because that changes the ROI around a lot. You know, the cost to build out the funnel and, you know, have a marketing automation platform. And so, you know, like either, well, I mean, I suppose that you can then scale up, you know, if some of the assumptions around conversions, which are relatively, I mean, that's still, you know, with a 20% conversion rate in terms of having these sales conversations, you know, out of 164 sales conversations, you know, 33 people would eventually opt in, you know, for this, which is, that's it. That sounds like pretty reasonable. I don't know. But if the, you know, at the moment, that monthly income then would only, you know, be really around like 3,200. And then it's a matter of, you know, how much the volume and the spend on Facebook, like basically then scales this up.
Right. Because it's not one-to-one, right? Or is it?
How do you mean one-to-one?
In other words, to scale up the spend, is it a direct proportional number? Or is there a, you know?
Yeah, it should be a proportional number. I mean, if you throw more traffic at it, you know, proportionally you would, you know, if this winds up making, you know, some amount of money and you're in the positive, then it's just a matter of throwing a lot more traffic at it. That's basically how it works.
Yes, and that I understand. So so in theory, once we build this model, $1,000 pumped into Facebook ads will generate, in theory, $3,000 in sales. I mean, assuming all of our variables are correct in the first segment, right?
Yeah, that assuming those variables, yes.
Assuming, right, which we don't know. So bring up so we've got 4,850 in the initial outlay, and then month 2, the testing is, well,
month 1, you know, the platform hasn't been built yet, so we're not going to earn anything, right? And it's all cost. Month 2, you know, basically we're talking about, you know, in month 2, Facebook, you know, adjusting the A/B testing and continuing to maintain the analytics, and then you sort of go into a run rate where, you know, all it is the marketing platform, you know, $350 a month. You know, and sort of minimal system maintenance. So you're looking at about $460 per month to just keep the thing turning over.
Got it.
Yeah, and then, but I'm adding to that your Facebook ad expenses, you know, in the overall cost, right? So if we're spending $1,050 in Facebook ads going on, that's also winds up going into the cost base of it.
Got it.
You know, and with these assumptions, you know, like now, I mean, I was hoping that the ROI would happen like, you know, in month 1 is a loss because you're building the platform, you know, so it happens like roughly after 2.5 months. You know, but this is still, you know, we're making a lot of assumptions here.
Well, we're making a lot of assumptions. And again, what we're not factoring in, right, is the cost of the client over the life. We've only just said what the value is in that first month. We haven't added in. Now we've done a good job. They're with us. They're a client. They're ordering $200 a month. We're keeping $12 of that $200 a month. And not only is Tara keeping that $12, I get the $12 too.
Yeah, really what I would, if you, do you have a lifetime value per customer average number?
We don't have that available to us, but I can ask for it. and see if I can get that information.
I mean, I guess it's different for every team anyway, right? I mean, I was
Well,
just.
it is, and then you have the third variable, honestly, of, so that client, you know, those clients, out of 100 of them, 83% go along, and for a certain amount of time, they use the products and they're happy, and some of them stay forever, some of them drop off after a
Well,
while.
some of them might be gone after a month, right? But that's
Some
but
of them-
doesn't lifetime value account for that?
What?
LTV is a number that accounts for people dropping off.
I understand that. And what I was about to say was, so we have 83% that are product users, and some will fall off and we'll get a lifetime value number assigned to them. But 17% of them at some point will share it with somebody else and refer them into the business. So that's not anywhere in this equation. And ultimately, that's actually what we are trying to accomplish long-term product users, because that's what kind of our bread and butter, but those unique individuals that show up and say, hey, I want to share this with other people. I want to do this. I want my own lead funnel where I can follow up with people. I mean, there's like, how do you put a value on that? Because that's the game, you know, but that's not there either. And so I understand all this, and I understand that number is very unattractive to you. And I have to figure out whether it's also unattractive to me, or whether.
I mean, look, I'm not your marketing agency, you know, with whom you sort of like work this, you know, like I'm just the, you know, I did this, you know, just to provide some value, hopefully, and to, you know, let you see that, you know, I'm thinking about ROI, and, you know, and I'm not just throwing cookies at the wall, you know.
No, I appreciate that. It's actually super helpful. Even the process of even the process of answering the questions that you asked made me focus in on what those numbers are. And I think having that number available of the lifetime value of a client would be valuable for us to have as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you had some number, then we could, you know, get maybe a more accurate comparison as to what the initial outlay for this would, you know, entail versus not.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so, you know, hopefully this conversation was, you know, useful to you, and you've got some, you know, I guess, you know, maybe you have this conversation ahead of you to see whether Peter, you know, has some videos that he would want to use, be able to, you know, allow you to use.
I think if the videos exist, if they're right, it's the quickest way for us to be able to move forward with this plan that you've created.
Right.
Honestly, with some tweaking of like what the offers are and the landing page around the video, but I think it's possible. But then if he says no, then we're back to square one. Right?
Yeah, you would be back to, you know, having a script, and, you know, and you know, yeah, needing to find someone to record those videos or to do, you know.
He'd probably be okay with that, honestly, with us recording his videos. I just don't know if that's makes sense or doesn't.
Yeah, I got you.
And the cost of the CRM is $350 a month.
Yeah.
And that's what generates the emails and tracks all of that. Everything flows through there.
Yes. You know, that's the SharpSpring platform, you know, that I was mentioning. And, you know, like, and if you're curious at looking, you know, into that. And then, by the way, I guess it would mean that, yeah, depending on how this would be set up and where it would be hosted on whose site, as I mentioned, you know, it's sort of like it services an unlimited amount of websites. You know, so that, you know, you're not, if you built this on a standalone platform, that still means that Tara, for example, might be able to install it on her own platform to basically, you know, have this intelligence baked into her own funnels. You know, but that's not something that we're worrying about right now. It's just that.
So for that $350 a month, it would serve us, and she could use it for Higgs Lifestyle.
Yeah, Higgs Lifestyle, or, you know, any other site that you have that's related, you know, in there. So yes.
Even if it didn't have, like, I have another website that doesn't have anything to do with health and wellness. So even whatever's under my umbrella, essentially, if I've got the license,
Yeah, I mean, so let me show you where, I guess sort of the rubber hits the road in terms of emails and email templates that are available. The way that we handle that is that, there are a number of different folders, and for some of the clients that have multiple sites, I mean, I can show you one from actually the Wellness Connection. And if we're looking at the back end here, they have multiple sites that basically are being serviced through the platform. There's the Help Me Get Well site, there's the Wellness Connection. So it's sort of like a folder structure in which these campaigns are organized. So there's ways in which you can, it becomes a little more tricky to manage multiple campaigns and multiple brands. You want to use folders and naming conventions within the platform to be able to distinguish them. But yes, we could run, I myself run 5-6 sites on one instance.
Got it.
Also, your email spam scores and, anything like that, you can have spillover. So the disadvantage of it is, if there's any, is that,
if they're bad.
If you, beg your pardon?
The disadvantage is if you have a bad score on one of them, and then
one of them spills over to the entire instance, right? Yeah. So you want to make sure, that you have, a fairly clean,
and good opt-in and everything really strong. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that, probably, that would be the case anyway, right?
Yeah. Well, we would follow best practices to ensure that.
Yeah, that's why, I unfortunately now, actually having people opt into emails is really important. That 2-step opt-in process, where a few years ago, it really wasn't looked at that much. But now what's actually happening is that your telephone service providers and like Verizon and Comcast are measuring the performance of your email deliverability. They're keeping tabs on whether your emails are going into someone's inbox or not. And your email open and engagement rates no longer determined by, by MailChimp or by Infusionsoft, or by any service provider, by your ESP service provider. Your email delivery scores are actually determined by the hosting provider of the inbox recipient, if you will. And so, that can screw, I've seen people get screwed up and their domains banned or their IP addresses banned, so it's really worthwhile. And especially in Europe, now there are new rules that, need to be followed. So it's good practice to follow the rules and bake that in right from the beginning. Okay, so I'm not sure, what the next steps are. I think that, we've diverged maybe a little bit. I'm hoping again that, this was, a useful conversation to maybe progress the thinking around what we could do here. So let me know how you want to move forward and whether you want to have another follow-up conversation after you hear back from Peter.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's our next step, is to go figure out if those videos serve us, and then, thinking about that step 1, 2, 3 model with the gift and figuring out what assets we have to plug into that, and then see, and then look at the lifetime value of the client and see if it all makes sense, right?
Right. And I would, I think you would get something out of signing up for the 2 campaigns that I sent you as examples that are using the 3-part video series, these 2 female entrepreneurs that I sent you that are basically running a campaign like that. And both of them are relatively well done. Did you have anything that you wanted me to comment on around, this particular page in the system, or this lead quiz around?
Well, the first one, the one that she sent you, that not the lead quiz, but the other one, the first one, go back to the other one.
Yeah, this one, yeah.
So this is, this is something that we found yesterday, and this is somebody that's with Isagenix.
Yes, I saw they actually say Isagenix in it, yeah.
What?
They actually mention Isagenix.
Yeah, so, but what I don't know is how they're utilizing this. I don't know if they're having conversations with people like in the airport or like people that they meet somewhere, and they're just sending them this link and letting them work their way through it. And then I don't know how it's being utilized.
Yeah, I mean, there's no call to action, right? And there's no sign up, and there's no.
There's a lot of great information, and
it's like it's a companion site for an offline conversation, maybe. I'm not sure exactly either.
Tara, what's your take?
My take is that if someone says they're interested, it's not like what we're trying to do. This is what I thought, Dawn, you wanted to do eventually, to get each of our team members to have like their own, like we talked about in the previous conversation, have their own one that looks like this. So if someone comes up to you in the airport and says, you know, tell me more, or whatever, you talk to them and they say, tell me more, you can send them the link to something like this that has some good key videos on it. But like you said, there is no call to action, but I think that's how this is being used. Just to, you know, when someone says, tell me more, and you're like, well, there's a lot to tell, you know, let me talk about you first. This is a way to give people information without a lot of general information, I guess.
Mm.
And this is actually being used, we got this yesterday, like Dawn said, by the #1 income earner with Isagenix. #2 income earner who makes millions of dollars a year. This is what they've been using. Now, we just kind of stumbled upon it, so I don't know exactly how they're using it, but that's my take on it.
But it's not a funnel.
No, it's not a funnel. No, it's not a funnel. It's like okay, so like, let's just say you're with another network marketing company, whatever, like Helo, and you send them a video, they want more information, and they watch video #1, and then it takes them the video #2, and then it takes them the video #3, and then they opt in to get more information. I don't know if that's how that was trying to be used, but I know that that's how, you know, other companies use. I don't know. It was just something we found and we saw it interesting. That the other one, the quiz, we just like quizzes. We find people take quizzes as long as they're not too long, and they'll continue to take them, because at the very end, if you kind of clicked on hers, it said, in order to get your answer, you have to put in your name and your email.
Yes. I did it. I filled it out, and you know, I mean, the page behind it was sort of pretty weak. I mean, there's, you know, like a single page with really no offer associated with it.
Right.
And
Yeah. They got you all the way there and dropped you, right?
A little bit. That's what I felt like.
Yeah, I thought so too. What was the answer? What did you need more of to be successful? I'm on the edge of my seat, Jurgen.
Right? Yeah, like you know, let me in. I don't know what to do, right? But so.
What was it? What's standing in the way of your success? What was the one-word answer? No, I'm asking. If you took the quiz, then you would have gotten to the answer, right?
That's right. So.
I didn't take the quiz.
Yeah, do it just for a laugh. I mean, it's you know, but it's a good example. I mean, I thought that the questions were arranged in a nice way. You know, like I thought that the mind map of leading the questions along. I mean, I don't know what the categories would have looked like if I made all A choices or B choices. You know, I'm assuming that this type of quiz results in like 3 categories or 4 categories eventually. And you know, we do have the capability to build that sort of thing. But I did like the nutritional bent and sort of the way that the questions were, you know, they were made pretty, I thought that was.
Yeah,
that was,
I mean, yeah, we thought it was okay too, but we've tried to do this before. We thought of doing this before, where to get your answer, okay, how did we do that, Dawn? To get your answer, you had to put your name and your email, and someone would call you with your answer. So then we would get them on the phone.
And, you know, like, so there's no lead qualification in that step other than to say, well, somebody just went through that quiz.
Yeah.
It could work in, you know, if this was part of the funnel and it was being offered, you know, on the bottom here, like after people have already watched, gotten to know, like, and trust you, now, you know, take the quiz and, you know, jump on a phone call with us. But yeah, I mean, still, I think that the invitation to jump on a phone call with you ought to go through the marketing automation engine to basically say, well, okay, you know, has this person checked all the boxes? You know, have they been to, you know, to all three of the landing pages, or did they just happen to open that one on that one day? You know, like the lead score will basically tell us that.
Well, like you said, you were thinking of putting the quiz on the third day, on the third one, so they wouldn't get to it unless they wouldn't get to the quiz part unless they got through the first three videos.
I mean, I have to admit, sometimes, you know, I'd skip the first 2 days of something like that and, you know, just like delete. I'm busy. And then on the third day, I wind up clicking, you know, in the sequence, you know, just because I happen to have a free lunch.
Yeah, same. I do the same thing.
You know, so you just don't know, you know, like a more reliable way is to actually, you know, have the marketing automation platform tell you whether that person actually visited all the important pages and, you know, increase their scores based on that. But that's, you know, ultimately it just becomes it's a question of whether how many calls are you willing to have with people, you know, and how good is just this experience of going through this funnel. People that are spit out at the end of the funnel presumably would be better than some people on a cold page. But, you know, people who went through and downloaded everything or did a worksheet or, you know, clicked on every button, you know, those are going to be even, you know, reliably, hopefully more, you know, more willing to spend the money and to engage in a conversation with you. But I get it, yeah. Okay. So, you know, shall we leave it there for today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then we're Dawn and I will talk, and then we can make another appointment through your website.
Once we've talked to Peter.
Sure, you know, or send me an email and let me know, you know, if you have something else to look at, or if, you know, like Peter's videos, you know, certainly the outcome of that conversation would be interesting to have. And then also, if you have any response or feedback to the 2 sequences that I sent you as examples from these 2 female entrepreneurs, I'd be very curious to see whether you think this approach would work for you ultimately.
Okay, we'll take a look.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye for now.